No surprise the Duke Blue Devils and Coach K bringing this kind of attention.
No, it's no surprise at all, especially when you consider the last time that Coach K will be in this building. And Obi, you mentioned this is the last time the top two winningest head coaches will face off, possibly. They could see each other in the ACC tournament. But I honestly think this is the last time we will ever see the top two coaches in NCAA Division I basketball square off. Nobody's catching Coach K, and if they do, it would only be Boeheim.
Final season, of course, 1,194 career wins, 5-time ACC Coach of the Year, 623 wins since 2001, which would be the 20th most all time. It's amazing to me to think he hasn't won an ACC Coach of the Year since then.
And his team has not won an ACC outright regular season title since 2006. Trying to get one here today as they take on Jim Boeheim, of course, in his 46th year here at Syracuse.
Maybe many more to come. We'll talk about that later. We had an interesting conversation with Coach Boeheim before the game, but a very festive atmosphere inside the dome. Really fun as we get set for the opening tip between Syracuse and the Duke Blue Devils, ranked number 7. They come in at 24-4, and Syracuse at 15-13, and Duke closing in on an ACC championship, which would be the 13th for Coach K. And set to get it rocking and rolling here in Central New York. Look at the Degrees starting lineup. And for Duke, it's Keels, Moore Jr., Banchero, Griffin, and Williams. Keels did not play the first time that they squared off at Cameron Indoor. He was out with a calf injury. Here's Griffin, who rarely misses, and he starts out in style.
And when these two teams met earlier, the 4 players for Duke had 15 points. A.J. Griffin shot the basketball extremely well. He's off to a great start in this one as well as we get a look at Syracuse starting lineup.
Both of the Boeheims, of course, Swider, Gerard, Anselm at 6'10". They have lost Jesse Edwards, of course, for the season to a fractured wrist. And here come the Blue Devils. Good shooting team, of course, and an outstanding defensive team.
Outstanding defensive team, and I don't think Duke gets enough credit for what they do on the defensive end of the floor, simply because they are such a high-powered offense with stars all up and down the roster. But one of the things that Coach K's done a great job of this year, coaching up the defense, one of the reasons why they're one of the best teams in the country.
Banchero makes it a 5-0 start for the Duke Blue Devils. Of course, the Syracuse fans stay up until they get a basket. Buddy Boeheim slamming on the brakes. Airmailed there by Buddy Boeheim out of the corner. And 10 seconds on the shot clock here.
No, but you mentioned the Syracuse fans standing until their first bucket. 50% of the games this year, it's been Jimmy Boeheim coming up with that first bucket, 14 of the 28 games. So right now, if I'm Coach Boeheim, I might be drawing up a play for my oldest son.
Yep. Jimmy coming off 27 and their loss at Notre Dame on Wednesday. He played every minute of that game. Swider will shoot it, can't hit it. Rebound comes out high to Wendell Moore. So Duke trying to lay it on early here inside the dome. Banchero in the paint. Moore, some contact. There's going to be an offensive foul as he knocked down Joe Girard. And Coach K, this would be his record 200th ACC road victory if he gets it here tonight.
And he's pretty much going to own every possible record on the sidelines that you can imagine in college coaching, outside of catching John Wooden for national titles.
And that will go the other way and be Duke basketball. Duke has games at Pittsburgh on Tuesday. That'll be on the ACC network. And then, of course, against North Carolina, March 5th. A team they beat by 20 at Chapel Hill. That'll be Coach K's last game inside Cameron Indoor. Banchero picked off by Girard. And looking to get the orange on the scoreboard at last. He'll fire a long distance shot, in and out. Banchero over the top and slammed in by Williams.
And we've watched Paolo Banchero, Mark Williams, the bigs for Duke, work on that in their shoot around And when you have such a target at 6'10" in Banchero in the middle of that zone, who can not only make plays for himself but his teammates, it makes Duke very dangerous against this Syracuse zone.
Swider, another opportunity off the back of that iron. It comes out high. And Moore will slow things down, wait for his teammates and Banchero. Banchero with 8 double-digit rebounding games. Once again, and that's going to be tipped up and in by Williams. And right now, Syracuse has no answer for him.
But Syracuse is in a bind because you have a great shooter and A.J. Griffin on one side. And so Cole Swider's caught in between. Does he go out and play Griffin, or does he try to take away Mark Williams at the rim? And neither has worked thus far.
Jimmy Boeheim shovels that one off the window. It won't go. Staying cold in the orange in the opening minutes. 9-0 Duke. Duke leading the ACC in field goal defense. Banchero on the baseline, and contact. He'll be at the line. No basket. There's 16-19 to go here in the first half. And Swider with the personal. And Banchero takes the hit. The 6'10" freshman from Seattle, who makes 77% at the line. Banchero, the preseason All-ACC freshman, and also the preseason Player of the Year. He's unlikely to win that honor.
I don't believe he'll win Player of the Year. He's pretty much a lock for Freshman of the Year when you consider he's won 6 of the ACC Rookie of the Weeks. But you look at his numbers, still scoring, rebounding, 46% from the field. Hasn't been as good as of late, but at the same time, his team has been even better. They're getting more production from more players around him.
Fans in the dome, Corey, want to take a seat.
Obi, right now, it's looking like we could go to our first media timeout before the fans get to sit down. And, of course, they want to be on their feet here cheering for their team, but they don't want to be on their feet waiting for the first bucket.
Swider giving up the dribble. Banchero on him. Jimmy Boeheim to the lane. Trying to get closer. Williams says hello. Mark Williams, one of the great shot blockers in the country. Banchero with the fake, takes a spill, and knocked out by the orange. So indeed, we get to that first media timeout, and Syracuse is yet to score.
We mentioned Mark Williams in our open. We talked about not only the blocks, but the volleyball spikes. Mark loves to let them know, get that out of there.
You're watching the Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy. This is the ACC on ESPN. Earlier, the handshake between these two legendary coaches and legendary friends. And in the pregame, Coach K presented with a photo of the two coaches and also a scholarship in his honor, in his name here at Syracuse University.
And we've seen some very creative awards and, you know, really gifts for Coach K. But I got to say that may be the most creative, and not only from the standpoint of we know that Coach K is a veteran. He went to West Point, of course, spent his time in the Army. But to be able to do that here with the military appreciation, I think that was a special thing.
I don't think there's any question that it's unique, it's creative, and I think a very heartfelt honor for him.
Well, and Grant, you're talking about true friends. As Mark Williams does not treat Cole Swider very friendly.
Yes.
On the underneath out of bounds play.
And one here too.
But one thing we've seen early from Duke is great execution, knowing exactly where they want to go with the basketball, very decisive on the offensive end of the floor. And Mark Williams has been spectacular to start the game off a number of great finds from Paolo Banchero.
That, by the way, his 69th dunk of the season. That's 4th most in a season all time at Duke.
I'd be interested to know who is leading that. Zion missed a couple games, so maybe it wasn't Zion. But again, I know he had the most spectacular dunk.
Buddy off the window, and finally they cracked the scoring column. And the fans can take a seat, 14-2.
And that's where Buddy has an advantage. Smaller guards, he can put them on his hip and find a way to get the ball up on the glass.
Banchero passing out of the double. Swung to Keels here. Keels, the freshman. Pass tip, but Banchero will fire it anyway, and they're just not missing anything. The triple goes to make it 17-2. Duke off to a 6-for-6 start. And sizzling. Ravi, thank you very much. An absolutely packed Carrier Dome. They're expecting over 30,000 here today, but the Duke Blue Devils got off to a sizzling start, and they lead at 17-4 over the Syracuse Orange in this historic matchup between the two winningest coaches of all time. And again, Mark Williams, who has picked off a couple of those shots already, has been sterling defensively, and they're hitting everything in sight. A.J. Griffin, who only makes 48% beyond the three-point line. Corey buries another one.
And Obi, Duke didn't actually miss a shot until we went to ESPN. When we came on air is when they missed their first shot, the Wendell Moore three, but A.J. Griffin right back at it. And you mentioned Mark Williams has owned the paint thus far on both ends of the floor.
So the Duke Blue Devils coming in at 24-4, ranked number 7. First place in the ACC at 14-3, and closing in on what would be, another slam by Williams. They have no answer for him.
They don't, simply because Duke is shooting the basketball so well. Griffin's already knocked down 2 threes. Banchero's knocked down a 3, so you got to cover the shooters on the perimeter, which leaves the 7-footer open under the basket.
On the line, a turnover by Girard, so it goes back over to Duke. Had the handshake with Jim Boeheim, the great friends and the two winningest coaches ever. Jim Boeheim very quietly on that sideline coaching up Cole Swider. These two have combined for 6 national titles, 17 Final Fours, 145 NCAA tournament victories, and 3 Olympic gold medals. They never lost in the Olympics, those two.
You know, the craziest part about that is when you think about everything that they've been through, Jim Boeheim showed Mike Krzyzewski the secrets to the zone. And right now, the Blue Devils have figured it out. Paolo Banchero knocks down his second 3, but Coach K has the secrets to knowing the soft spots in the zone because those two guys coach together, and they have exploited it here tonight.
Duke absolutely on fire. Here's Boeheim, and knocks down a 3-pointer. They're going to need a whole lot of that. He's averaging 19 points a game, Buddy Boeheim. Number 2 in the ACC in scoring, but he needs a lot more help.
Well, and Syracuse comes into game oftentimes having to outscore their opponent. The problem is the Blue Devils have hit 5 threes already in this game. 3 for Griffin, 2 for Banchero, and more importantly, they're passing the basketball extremely well.
Well, this is the quietest, huge crowd I've heard in a long time. Buddy Boeheim again, not this time. There are 8,000 students here today. They sold 8,000 student seats, which is a record inside the Carrier Dome. Once again, it's Banchero who cannot miss. Every shot is right through the nets. That can be said of the entire Duke team, 31-9. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. It's the one when you got to get stuff done. And in part by the Sonic Patty Melt for limited time only at Sonic. And TaxAct. File for less and get more with TaxAct, the official tax filing software of bowl season. Out tonight from the Carrier Dome, it's the ESPN Sonic Blockbuster. In front of about 32,000 inside the Dome. Dave O'Brien alongside Corey Alexander, ready for our Guinness Made of More, and centering on the performance of Mark Williams.
Well, Mark Williams has gotten off to a great start, 4 for 4 from the field, and he's had high percentage shots around the basket based upon a number of great passes from his teammates. But it's not just about the offense. The ACC's leading shot blocker coming in with 2 blocks already, and again, perfect 4 for 4 from the field. The recipient of some beautiful finds from his teammates, all dunking the basketball.
So we resume our Sonic Blockbuster matchup, and Williams so far with 9 points. Perfect 4 for 4. Duke is 11 for 12 shooting it. A near perfect start on our Sonic Blockbuster Saturday evening. 31-9. Benny Williams in the game, the 6'8" freshman for Jim Boeheim. Taking the baseline. How about that move right on cue?
Big time athlete. Benny Williams coming in to a great ovation from the crowd when you get an opportunity to see him show off his athleticism. And Williams, who can help this team moving forward, but still really has to figure out how to play the game right now for Jim Boeheim. Not only how to be able to play the zone defensively, but how to play hard on every possession.
We can see on a play like that how much talent he has and why he was so hotly recruited. That's going to be an offensive foul. But the work continues.
It really does. You see Benny Williams with the nice cut baseline, and of course going up against athletes, showing off his athleticism, moving to the other side of the basket, avoiding Banchero and Theo Johns. But and honestly, Williams has been a hot topic around here as of late, because I believe that the fan base wants him to get more minutes, but you earn your minutes in practice. This is not where you earn your minutes. However, Benny Williams off to a great start. He may find himself in better favor from the way he stepped out. Jim Boeheim giving him an opportunity here tonight.
He's certainly not the only talented freshman who's sitting a lot in his first year. Gonzaga has a couple of guys who fit that bill as well. Way downtown and on the money is Roach. Jeremy Roach raining threes, the Duke Blue Devils.
And got to look at Jim Boeheim after Roach knocks down that three, fresh off of the bench, checking into the game. And Coach Boeheim simply just turned his head to say, if they're going to make all these shots, there's no beating them. There's nothing you can do about it. That was the issue for Duke early in the year. They figured it out. Right now, they're a great shooting team.
Trevor Keels reaches and commits the foul. 10:16 to go. In an electric first half thus far for number 7 Duke. They're 7 out of 8 from three-point land.
And Obi, they have 10 assists on 11 made field goals right now. You're talking about efficient, very efficient basketball.
Torrance slamming on the brakes. Boeheim passing to his brother. Very tough angle. It almost went. But Duke to run. And now Moore will set it up. Duke with a game coming up on Tuesday in the ACC network at Pittsburgh. And then, of course, closing out the regular season against Carolina at Cameron Indoor on March 5th on ESPN. Griffin slammed in by Theo John. So he cleaned up one of their rare misses.
And that just adds insult to injury. You finally get them to miss a shot, and then, of course, you've got your backup center going way above the rim to finish it through.
36-13 Duke. What a start. Torrance driving hard on the baseline, but can't finish it.
And that was a tough hit. Banchero took that one directly to the face.
But Torrance did too. He took a knock.
Yeah, the back of the head of Torrance went into the face of Paolo Banchero, but at the same time, Banchero gets up and walks it off as Torrance is down. And as you look at it, it's Torrance actually who creates the contact, jumping backwards into Banchero. Banchero taking it under the chin. And that does get the forehead of Torrance.
Give you one more look here.
As you see, Torrance's head goes back into Banchero. So the chin of Banchero hits Torrance in the forehead. And you see immediately there's blood. A tough hit. Honestly, it's surprising to see Banchero walk away from that hit. You know, he sat on the ground for a second, but not as phased.
And good to see Torrance sitting up, at least at this point. We'll take a break and be back in 30 seconds here at the Carrier Dome.
Good to see Symir Torrance up on his feet, walking to the locker room. But I'm shocked to see that Banchero really walked that one off. I mean, at this point, I would have to believe that Paolo could take a punch, because he took a tough hit right there.
That was like it was nothing for him.
Yeah, he sat for a second, he thought about it, then he got up and walked it off. And Obi, I told you, he was a quarterback until his freshman year of high school. He was a football player, so he's been hit before.
Duke 13 for 15 from the field. Banchero, soft touch, and rolls around and in. And he kept that hand up there for emphasis.
Absolutely, keeping the follow-through going. He's a much better shooter when he does that. And, of course, the scorekeeper always knows who made the shot, the guy standing there with the follow-through.
It's been 8 games since he's had a 20-point game. It looks like he's very determined here in the first half.
Yeah, 15 first half points already, but he's shooting the basketball so well from 3.
Roach spinning around, and a foul on the play against Jimmy Boeheim. And Roach is all right. Duke coming off a hard-fought 65-61 win at Virginia this week. You were there as a fan. Duke's won 10 of their last 11 games. Corey, they're 4 points away from what would be a 20-game winning streak coming here to Syracuse. Miami beat them by 2, FSU by 1 in overtime in January. Virginia beat them by 1 with a second to play. That's how close they are from having a 20-game win streak.
And if you talk to their coaching staff, they'll let you know that in those games that they lost, they didn't play well. They didn't feel like they deserved to win those games. So when you think about it, those losses are going to be lessons, and part of the reason why this team is playing as well as they are right now and continuing to get better as the season goes along.
Griffin lets fly, hits it. Well, he's just about automatic. He had a great game at the end there, particularly against Virginia.
Yeah, he scored 10 points in the last 3 minutes and 38 seconds after going 1 for 8 previously. But no parts of that for A.J. Griffin. Already 4 3-pointers made for him in this first half.
Buddy Boeheim turns to fire. Williams went for the rebound, and it's off his hands and out of play, so it'll be Syracuse ball. When we come back, Mike from Durham calls into the Jim Boeheim radio show this week. You'll want to hear this.
Hello, Mike from Durham.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Coach Boeheim for almost 5 decades.
I doubt that.
I'm going to have a chance to watch the Syracuse Duke game this weekend. I was wondering if there was an opportunity to meet him and maybe get an autograph and picture.
Well, there's a lot of pressure on you because this will be Mickey, your great wife's first trip to the Caribbean.
I am bringing Mickey, and for her to travel in the snow, you must be very special. Either that or Julia. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, you know, our grandchildren and your kids kind of grew up together.
LeBron's kids, Dwayne Wade's kids, and your kid, my kids. They had a great time. They had more fun than we did on those Olympic trips.
They absolutely did.
I got the feeling those two had a lot of fun, though. They went 24-0 in winning 3 gold medals. Sidibe in the paint, and more of that, obviously, with the Orange need. But these two are great friends. They said with all of the summer days and nights they spent coaching those Olympic teams in places all over the world, they never had a single argument.
Yeah, and I can see that. Again, when your team is that good,
that's a pretty good point.
It's hard to argue, really, but
yeah, what are you fighting at
exactly.
that point?
And you look at these two guys, of course, the top of the all-time wins leaders. And when you consider the state of college basketball today, the likelihood of coaches coaching 47, 46 years ever again is very small. I believe that this could possibly be the last time you ever see a #1 versus #2 coaching matchup in the history of college basketball. I don't think anyone will do it as long as these guys have done it moving forward.
As we know, Coach K is retiring, and one off the mark by Banchero. Duke has missed so few here in the first half. How about Coach Boeheim, though? I mean, you were teasing him about going for 50 just before the game. What did he say about that?
Well, I tell you, I've said it on air a number of times. Boeheim 50. I'm leading the charge. Get him to 50. He's done 40. This is just 46th year for him. At least 4 more years. And so if Boeheim 50 can happen, I've been leading the charge. And I asked him earlier today, I said, do I have your permission to start the Boeheim 50 push? And he looked at me and he said, I kind of like the way that sounds. I hadn't heard it before, but I'm not going anywhere. So that's it. It's the Boeheim 50 charge.
That, however, was before the game tipped off, because I think he's aged about 5 years in the first half.
That is very true.
On the baseline, tough move in traffic by Griffin, who's also having a very good first half.
He's having a great first half. 16 points, for Griffin early, limping back down the floor. But again, when you're having an offensive night like this, nothing can hurt. You got to find a way to shake that off.
And he's 4 out of 5 from three-point land. He can flat shoot. Williams with a turn. That won't drop. Williams with another rebound. He's been dominating the middle. Duke with a 43-18 lead. And a packed dome. They really took the air out of this place immediately, didn't they?
Well, when you come in and you shoot the basketball this well, it's one thing, but when you've got the interior presence, not only to get it done from beyond the perimeter, but on the offensive boards, the lobs, everything that's happened for Duke in this first half offensively, it makes it difficult for the crowd to get involved.
So it'll be Williams at the line, Sidibe with the foul. Our Sunday afternoon AAC basketball doubleheader. Game 1, 12:30, number 14 Houston against SMU. Then Wichita State squaring off against Penny Hardaway in Memphis at the FedEx Forum. Two important road to Champ Week games presented by Wendy's.
And we've talked about how great a Saturday it's been thus far and how much better it's going to get as we move forward with, of course, Baylor, Kansas tonight, and then St. Mary's, Gonzaga. Sunday slate pretty good, too. We've got a lot of great basketball, but, of course, this time of year, that's what I guess we expect to see.
It's the best. When I was a kid, and I'll bet you're exactly the same way, I would plant myself in front of the television at noon, and I would not move until that third game was over, except to go in the backyard and shoot baskets. That was it.
Well, you were learning a little more than I was. I was probably at the Y playing in rec league games early, and by the time I got home, I was taking a nap.
Yeah. In between, you were getting recruited by major colleges, unlike the rest of us. That one thrown away by Syracuse, 5 minutes to go. And turnovers haven't been the biggest reason why the score is like this. It's been at times near perfect play by the number 7 team in the country.
Absolutely, and Duke really just starting to grow as a team. We talked with Coach K earlier today, and early in the season he mentioned that they hadn't had much continuities. Banchero knocks down, I believe, his 4th three of the first half as he continues to keep rolling. Now 18 points for him, and he continues to play great basketball.
Quick strike on the other end, but also 6 assists for Banchero.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Their scouting report, and this morning we saw them do this 5-1-0, and they're playing like that right now. There's nothing Syracuse can do. It's not as though Syracuse is playing bad defense, but when you're shooting the basketball this well, there's no way you can guard it.
77% the Duke Blue Devils in the first half. 6 to get off a shot. Here's Keels. Keels did not play in that first game against Syracuse because he had a calf injury, but has had some outstanding games this season. Banchero's having one right now. A big freshman out of Seattle, averaging 17 and 8.
Obi, I want to go back to your point where you're talking about Coach K and Coach Boeheim. In the preseason ACC Media Day, we were talking to players and coaches about their greatest memories of Coach K. Well, I asked Buddy, I said, well, you spent a lot of time around Coach K. What's your greatest memories? He simply said, I don't really remember him much coaching. I just remember him being in the hotel and me and his grandkids hanging out playing in the hallway and all that kind of stuff. So I know he's a great coach, but he's just kind of like a uncle to me. You know what I mean? So again, when you consider growing up and having that type of influence, not only your dad being a Hall of Fame coach, but like a Hall of Fame uncle as well, I'm sure that's played large dividends in why Buddy's been so successful on the court.
Jim Boeheim famously got Coach K to try some zone while they were with Team USA. They called that 2-3 zone orange in honor of Jim Boeheim. As Buddy is on target. Under 4 minutes to go. Duke 48, Syracuse 23.
And as too often we've seen for Syracuse this season, Buddy has been all of the offense for the Orange in this game. And although he's second in the ACC in scoring, that's not going to be enough when Trevor Keels lines up a 3 and knocks it down, and Duke is shooting the basketball this well.
Wow. Only 67% from three-point land.
Yeah, they're slacking. They're falling off. At one point, they were shooting about 90%.
Gerard surrenders the dribble. Here's Cole Swider, who they're going to lose after this season. A transfer from Villanova. Shot clock down to 8. Driving on Griffin and knocks it down. Sweet shot. They have not had many like that, but one of their better offensive moments of the day. Griffin off the keel. Shot clock at 9. Bates Jones. And the swing to Keels. Trying to get a shot in the air. Down to 2. Jones will lift. Got it up just in time, but a foul on the deck. With 2.5 to go. And Duke in a runaway here in the first half inside the Dome. Well, a basketball legacy like none other than the 2 winningest coaches all time. They started out as solid guards playing at their schools. Coach K, of course, at West Point. They coached in 76, in Boeheim 75 for Coach K, and then together for 3 gold medal teams in the Olympics. And we look at our Sonic Blockbuster comparison between the 2, combining for over 2,100 wins.
Well, and of course, there should be an asterisk beside the Boeheim 997 because it's actually 1,098. And the NCAA needs to find a different way to penalize people in comparison to taking away wins that we all saw happen.
A huge crowd here. They have certainly not enjoyed themselves as much as they anticipated. Not the way Duke got out of the gate, which is to say roaring in an understatement.
Yeah, understatement would be correct on that one. And right now, Syracuse is trying to find anything to go in their favor as they come up with the steal. Joe Girard with the easy bucket.
And of course, it's the 3-point shots that have eaten Syracuse alive. Duke has hit 10 already with about 2 minutes to go in the half. The record for Duke on the road for threes in an entire game is 17.
And Duke made 14 threes in the first game, the first matchup between these 2 teams on January 22nd. And right now it's looking like they're going to blow past that with 10 already in the first half.
Eddie Boeheim, nice hesitation, drops in 2.
The Syracuse starting to find a little bit of momentum. Still a big hole to try to dig themselves out of, but Coach K doesn't like the way things have gone. As of late, he wants to talk it over with his team.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50, which is great, but it's gonna take some planning.
What can you do for me?
So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP, to help your money live as long as you do. The money you earn, the money you splurge,
I'm going in,
and the money you save.
I just bought that.
Huh, I just sold that.
That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Duke knocking down threes by the bushel.
And we don't have time to show you half of them. We'll only show you 5 of the 10 threes they made here in the first half. A.J. Griffin, of course, continues to shoot a hot basketball. Jeremy Roach getting involved in the mix. Griffin once again from the corner. He has 4 threes already in this first half. Paolo Banchero has found his sweet spot. That corner has been good to him. He's knocked down 4 as well.
Maybe more impressive than the 18 for Banchero is how he has distributed the basketball so well. Another turnover there for the Duke Blue Devils.
Well, and you found some momentum on Syracuse, doing a great job. A couple of steals and a 3-pointer on their last couple possessions. So right now, if you can get a score, you start to find some type of confidence.
Back out to Buddy, and he'll drill the triple.
And just like that, the crowd is back into the game. You see stuff flying around. They're throwing shirts and getting involved. The noise comes up. It's still a 19-point lead, but a 9-0 run for the Orange over the last 2:05.
Keels with a bounce for Banchero. He'll turn, fire, and it's around and out.
It would be amazing the way momentum goes. That was an easy shot for Banchero throughout the entire first half until the crowd is against them, and now the momentum is not in their favor.
Boeheim pulls up. He's hot. He's caught fire here down the stretch of the first half.
And Coach K is hot. He is not liking what he's seeing, especially after calling a timeout to kind of slow down the Orange. But Buddy Boeheim is heating up here to end the first half.
Roach with the left hand. No. Battle for the rebound. And it'll be Duke basketball with 5.7 to go. Coming up, our Jeep halftime report with Reese, Fonz, and Seth talking about the Florida State thriller. And a lot more of today's scores, highlights, all coming your way. Banchero, long distance, can't hit it. And that'll be the first half. The Duke Blue Devils built up a huge lead, but Syracuse got hot down the stretch and cut it to 51-34. Second largest halftime lead against Syracuse for the Duke Blue Devils here in their 19th meeting. Oh, what a start for the Duke Blue Devils, who built the lead as high as 30. Syracuse with a run there to make it 51-34. Can they get it inside 10 and really give these fans something to cheer about?
I believe these fans are ready to erupt. You're talking about over 30,000 people inside the dome. But when you consider the way Duke got off and started this game, it was in spectacular fashion. They made 7 of their first 8 three-pointers. Great job sharing the basketball, interior passing. Paolo Banchero not only scoring, but assisting as well. 6 assists in the first half for him, and also knocking down 4 threes along the way. And it hasn't been just about Banchero for Duke, but it's been only about Buddy on the offensive end of the floor for the Orange. 17 points for Buddy Boeheim, 7 for 12 from the field. But he needs to get some help from his friend.
Our game track brought to you by Target. So Duke 10 out of 17 from the three-point line. Syracuse with that 11-0 run in the last 3 minutes. So it got a little bit noisy finally inside the dome. And now we're ready for the second half of our Sonic Blockbuster matchup. Syracuse will open up the second 20 minutes with the basketball. I don't know, you've seen so many games this season. You and I have called so many. I haven't seen anybody shoot the ball the way Duke did in the first 10 minutes of this game.
I tell you what, we did see, and it was you and I together, Virginia Tech's performance at Florida State. It was 2 guys. Hunter Couture and Sean Padula was going out getting it done like Buddy Boeheim is as he starts off the second half with the bucket, and now a 13-0 run in favor of the Orange as they try to get this crowd back in the game.
Banchero very unselfish for Williams and the stuff.
And that's a silencer. Duke goes back to that interior passing that they were so successful at in the first half for the Williams dunk.
So 13-5 for Mark Williams. Syracuse trying to find somebody not wearing the number 35 to make baskets. Right now, a misfire by Buddy Boeheim, the 6'6 senior. He's coming off 20 against Notre Dame on Wednesday in a 10-point loss, which is really a damaging loss in a lot of ways for Syracuse against that kind of an opponent, because they had an opportunity to win that game.
Yeah, and that would have been a quad 1 win when you consider playing Notre Dame, who is second in the ACC behind the Blue Devils right now.
Williams collects and finishes up his own miss.
And I'm not sure people at home can realize how quick Mark Williams' second jump is. He knows if a shot's coming off, and before the basketball even gets off the rim, he's back over the top of the rim, putting it back in, similar to the game winner against Wake Forest.
One-hander for Girard as he knocks it down. Coming off a rough one against Notre Dame, he was 1 for 7. And against Duke the first time around, just 1 for 9. They need his hot hand. Banchero going for the slam, and he'll draw contact. He'll be at the line. But back to Williams, the 7-footer out of Virginia Beach, Virginia.
And you see Mark Williams coming up with the offensive rebound. And even though he misses his first shot, he's the first one off the ground, tipping it back in before anyone else knows that it's coming off.
Paolo Banchero will be at the line for 2 shots.
Banchero with 18 points in the first half. And a 77% foul shooter.
Paolo Banchero, this is, as well as we've seen him play as of late, struggled at Virginia on Wednesday. Had a conversation with him at shoot-around earlier today, and just told him, frankly, he didn't look like he was having fun Wednesday. And this is a guy that plays with a joy as Mark Williams comes up with another offensive board.
And Sidibe went for the swat and got mostly armed. 18-12 to go, just beginning the second half, and back to that board.
And 2 missed free throws from Banchero. Mark Williams coming up with another offensive rebound, and you've got both Sidibe and John Bonajak in the game, the 2 biggest guys available on the Syracuse roster, and yet they still can't keep Mark Williams off the glass.
As he has all season long, he had some huge blocks in that victory against Virginia this week in the clutch. He's been there at the right time. Also had a game-winning dunk against Wake Forest with 0.4 of a second to go in a 2-point victory. And makes it 57-38.
And I'll be back to Banchero talking about him having fun. I asked him at halftime, I said, was that fun? He got a quick little smile and said, yeah, I like that half a lot better.
Even though he took a pretty good shot in the face. On the run, Wendell Moore, what the slam! My goodness gracious.
And Obi, if Wendell had not mishandled the basketball, that SportsCenter top 10 highlight wouldn't have happened. He would have thrown it ahead to Trevor Kills, who had it, but because he mishandled the basketball, he was forced to take off and put himself on SportsCenter tonight.
His first basket of the game, but what a basket.
If you're going to get a first in the second half, that's the way to do it.
My goodness. That rim is still moving. Buddy Boeheim will fire from the corner. Williams, nicely done.
I tell you, Benny Williams has given Syracuse great minutes early in both halves of this one coming in. But
you cannot leave that guy open for a split second, can you? A.J. Griffin.
Transition defense is important, and right now, Jim Boeheim wants a timeout to talk this over with his team. There's no time to celebrate over a bucket, especially when you're playing against a team shooting the basketball this way. You're watching Saturday Showcase presented by 5 Hour Energy, and Wendell Moore, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And you see what was almost a turnover turns into a highlight. He loses the basketball, and all of a sudden, things open up to find himself on SportsCenter tonight, a top 10 nominee, Wendell Moore Jr. finishing it off in style.
The treasure was a golden tomahawk. It was an angry dunk, wasn't he? It was like, I haven't scored yet. I think people will remember this one.
And you know why it may have been even more angry? Because Buddy Boeheim is starting to get off. And Wendell Moore, in my opinion, has a chance to be the Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. Held Buddy Boeheim to 2 for 15 in their first matchup. He doesn't like to see Buddy getting hot. So I think he took out a little of that aggression on the rim.
I think Wendell should be in that discussion, and Mark Williams.
Mark Williams, Reese Beekman from Virginia. I believe that those are the 3 front runners.
Gerard fouled on his way to the basket. 16:52 to go. I'm talking about the best defenders in the ACC.
Yeah, and this is my short list of Defensive Player of the Year candidates. When you look at Charlie Moore, who leads the ACC in steals, Mark Williams leads the ACC in blocks. But when you look at what Reese Beekman and Wendell Moore Jr. are doing, they lead the ACC in shutdowns. They take on the opposing team's best player, and they shut them down. Wendell Moore Jr. held Dane Goodwin, who was shooting the basketball and playing as good a basketball as anyone in the country, when Duke went to Notre Dame and held Goodwin scoreless. And that projected him, in my opinion, right into the Defensive Player of the Year category.
I think of the best shot blocker in the country right now, it's probably Walker Kessler, right, at Auburn. He's #1 in the country. Raining those threes as Moore drills that one. But Mark Williams is right there with him.
And Mark Williams is absolutely in the mix. And when you go back and you talk about Duke, you have to go back and look at not only the Kentucky game, but also the Gonzaga game. In the Kentucky game, Wendell Moore Jr. shut down Ty Washington. And then when you start thinking about Gonzaga, Mark Williams did a number on Drew Timmons.
Yeah, and he had 6 dunks in that game.
He was a force on both ends of the floor.
Shot clock down to 8. Gerard very dangerous from 3-point land. Will stick that one. Joe making about 42% out there.
And give the crowd credit. They have still been very involved in this game, especially on Syracuse scores. But the problem is Duke has been able to quiet them when it gets back on this end of the floor.
Banchero a dribble down, kicks it back out. They let Griffin open again. Williams with the catch, but draws a foul there. 65-45. Duke in control here in the Dome. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's new hot honey chicken sandwich. Also available on a biscuit at breakfast at participating U.S. Wendy's. His career home record at Cameron Indoor, 572 and 75. It's a winning percentage over 88%. Keels with a misfire on a three. And it'll be back over to Syracuse. An outstanding effort there, trying to keep that alive by Williams.
It's hard for many to imagine, but Coach K's first 3 to 4 years at Duke weren't successful. And so when you talk about the fact that, you know, there was talk of firing him, you know, during the beginning of his tenure, and we all know about the class that saved Coach K, the class that played in the national championship game in 1986 that included Johnny Dawkins and Jay Billis, Mark Allery, etc. But when you mention those numbers at Cameron Indoor, it didn't start off that way. They started off taking a bunch of losses.
Coach K with an astounding 36 20-win seasons. And an incredible career. One of the great careers in the history of sports globally. On the baseline, he's on the line. 1,194 career victories. Can he go to a 13th Final Four and break the tie with the legendary John Wooden?
He has the team to be able to do so, no question about it. And when you consider the fact that the way that they're playing defense right now, we know what Duke is capable of offensively. We saw a lot of that against great competition in the non-conference. Kentucky and Gonzaga, we mentioned that. But right now, they're such a better defensive team, and he credits their continuity, having everyone available right now to doing so.
Roach with a foul, trying to slow down Buddy Boeheim, who has 21 points for Syracuse. And you asked Coach K about this at their practice today, about the continuity aspect, because at times it was a little bit sketchy after they had a COVID pause in particular. And he said, big smile on his face, he said, yes, that's there now.
And he's mentioned it a number of times to me since then that they haven't had that continuity. And then, of course, you think about once they got back going after that, you know, COVID interruption, then you get Trevor Keels hurt. But now he's back and playing very good basketball. As ACC, the reigning ACC Rookie of the Week. And Jeremy Roach is playing his best basketball of the season as well.
Nice dish there. Sidibe will knock it down. Girard took that shot clock way down, 65 to 49. So again, a little bit of life here for the Orange.
And how about the offense that Syracuse is getting for Garama Sidibe, stepping up 9 points for him, and his action has been limited throughout the year because of injuries.
Banchero weaving in. Williams tied up, got the pass away. Shot clock at 9. Here's Roach. Moore on the baseline. They moved it beautifully, and Williams with a foul too.
And just as the crowd gets involved once again, Duke does not get sped up by the environment. Even though the shot clock is going down, still great ball movement and a great decision by Wendell Moore to find Mark Williams, who finishes it off in style and the opportunity for the and one.
Buddy Boeheim with the foul. Williams makes 73% at the line. Banchero with the rebound, but that's going to go the other way. The whistle against Duke. So that'll be on Banchero. Both teams with only 5 turnovers, so in that respect, it's been a clean game.
And we're seeing Jim Boeheim with a different lineup. John Bolajak, Garama Sidibe, Benny Williams along that back line to try to defend this Duke front line that's been spectacular throughout the first, 25 minutes of this game.
Duke piled up a 30-point lead in the first half, and just a sloppy turnover there by Girard.
And again, Paolo Banchero, Jeremy Roach pushed Girard to what you consider dead man's corner, where you're backed up against the sideline, the half-court line, and then you've got two defenders right in front of you. There's really nowhere to go. Of course, Coach Boeheim would have loved to have seen Jabbar get rid of the basketball instead of turning it over out of bounds, but yet give Duke credit defensively.
Banchero going in strong, no whistle on the play. It'll stay on this end, but no foul. 13:23 to go.
As you see, Banchero attacking Sidibe and going through, and there is contact on the elbow, but no call. However, Duke maintains possession.
Roach with a pull-up, sticks it. Jeremy Roach, who's averaging about 8 a game.
Yeah, and we've talked about really everyone else for the Blue Devils, but Jeremy Roach was a difference maker for Duke in their win Wednesday night at Virginia.
Bola Jackets, it's a spin in.
Yeah, and Roach is really starting to give this Duke team a point guard presence. His assistant turnover has been great, but this is the Jeremy Roach we've been waiting to see in a Blue Devil uniform, starting to show up and play like the McDonald's All-American we were expecting.
Yeah, he got the start against Syracuse in the first meeting when Keels was out and had 9 assists in that game. Sweet pass there inside to Banchero, and he'll draw the foul as Wendell Moore got the pass off, and our NBA Saturday primetime matchup is coming your way. Nets GM Sean Marks left the door open for KD and Ben Simmons to possibly play in this one. They'll be in Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. Our coverage begins with NBA Countdown, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
And we talk about the NBA, and when you look at this guy at the free throw line, and I know there's a lot of speculation and a lot of things going on. You've got the 3 guys who most likely to be considered for that #1 pick, Jabari Smith out of Auburn, of course, Chet Holmgren at Gonzaga. In my opinion, this is the #1 pick. And the reason I say that is because when you look at Jabari Smith, he is not right now who he will be in his NBA career. Chet Holmgren, the same thing. Chet has to get stronger. He's going to be, he has a great, upside. But Paolo Banchero can step onto an NBA floor today and be successful because of his physical nature, because of his skill level, and of course his size and speed. And right now, that's the reason I think he should be the #1 pick, because he can come in and play right away.
Playing like it today with 19 points and 7 assists. And Theo John with the foul. With 12:20 left here in the second half. Every time the Orange have gone on a mini run, Duke has been able to answer. Olajek going strong, in for Sidibe and a whistle. That was with 10 seconds to shoot. So Coach K looking for victory number 1,195 here tonight. Would be his 200th ACC road victory. He already has the record. Syracuse at the line. Sidibe, 6'10" grad from Mali, drops in that one. He's played in very few games, but with Edwards gone for the season, Sidibe has played in the last 3 games 18, 16, and 16 minutes.
And Sidibe was injured to start the season, so that's part of the reason why he was out. But Jesse Edwards played so well that it was one of those scenarios where you really couldn't get him off the floor. The only thing that held Jesse Edwards back this year was foul trouble, because he had a special season. Hate to see him miss time with injury, but I talked to him before the game and let him know, hey, come back next year and be even better, because he was a surprising star this season for the Orange.
Roach straight on. That glances off the iron, but a lot of second efforts here by the Blue Devils. Taken away by Moore. That won't fall. And it goes on a play off of Syracuse. So Duke will have another crack at it when we come back. Syracuse has crawled to within 17.
This game matters. It matters to cut down the nets.
Duke on top 70-53. Huge crowd of 31,000 800 inside the dome and over 8,000 students. Now, you see the young man yawning on the right there. That was my seat as an undergrad at the Newhouse School of Communications. Way, way up there. You needed an oxygen tank, Corey, and look at his view of the court. I mean, the game is effectively a rumor for him up there. But I'll tell you what, a tip of the cap to these students, because this is a record for student attendance tonight. 8,335 showing up in the dome.
And that is, I mean, when you consider that this many students coming out for this game is not only a testament to what Coach K does, but also a testament to Syracuse basketball. And when you look at the legends, John Wallace, of course, tweeting it up, we're talking about him, so I'm sure somebody's telling him, you're on TV right now, look up at the camera. John Wallace in the building tonight, who's number 44, the legendary number on the floor, of course, also shared by Derek Coleman and the great Jim Brown in this building.
Shot clock at 5. Dump it inside for John and swings in 2. Pretty shot. All the way down to the very end of the shot clock.
The zone is designed to make you have to be patient to get the right shot on the offensive end of the floor. Duke has done a great job with that tonight.
Gerard doesn't miss open looks like that. 72 to 55. Talk about greats who are on hand, whether they played at Syracuse or not. Allen Iverson was here earlier tonight.
Yeah, hey, I was here for the first half, got a chance to visit with him before the game, but once he saw the halftime score, I don't think we're going to see him again.
He had something to do. Yeah. I think you're right. More in the paint, off the fake, got airborne, tipped into the corner. It'll be Duke basketball. And Banchero coming back on along with A.J. Griffin. Lawrence Moten's here as well.
My man, Poetry and Moten, all-time leading scorer at Syracuse, and was actually the all-time leading Big East scorer when he left. It's been passed up since then, but that guy was a bucket, to say the least.
So what you're saying is Jim Boeheim got some players.
Well, you know, this coaching thing isn't that complicated. Let me tell you what the history of this is. You find great offensive talent, athletes out of high school, and you get them to play defense. That's all you really have to do to win a coach.
Heels knocked to the deck. 10:26 to go. Oh, it's that simple.
It's that simple. And we've got two guys on the sideline here tonight who have made it more simple than anyone else when you consider the top two coaches and wins in the history of college basketball. And again, I think it's going to be this way, if not forever, for a very, very long time.
Jim Boeheim now in his 46th season. His wife Julie made the trip to Cameron last month. Syracuse making that trip to play Duke, and now Mickey, Coach K's wife, making the trip here for the first time. A couple of grandkids as well. Braving the snows of Syracuse.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a little different making these trips, though.
Williams will knock down 2.
You make the trip down to Durham, and chances are you're going to get a 40s, 50s, maybe a sunny day, this, that, and other.
Sure.
Great chances you're going to see snow when you come to Syracuse.
Oh, yeah, it has been here. Today a clear day, but very cold. Our producer, Matt Bartley, is a central New Yorker. He's used to it. Banchero drops in a couple. He continues to have a big day here inside the dome.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by Syracuse guys today. You, Bartley, I mean, all you guys are Syracuse guys. And again, I ask the same question. How do you make it on a daily basis having to go to class when the weather's like this?
You know, I thought the same thing when I showed up on Thursday to get ready for this game. On the break on Williams, no. He thought he got fouled on the play.
And I believe Theo John actually got back and got a piece of that one for a block shot to the displeasure of the 33,000 we have on hand here tonight.
So coming up on 9 minutes to go. Banchero off for Roach. Gills will line one up. Got a good look. And Sidibe with the rebound. Syracuse trying to come back. They're 15 and 13. Duke coming in 24 and 4. Gerard with the scoop and no. Roach not going to wait. Goes strong and a foul. So Jeremy Roach will be shooting. Back to that play where John got credit for the block. Williams thought he got hit.
And you see right there, John gets a hand on the basketball before it hits the glass. And a little point to let the crowd know that's a clean block. A great hustle by Theo John, sprinting the court and getting back down, denying the 2 points of the Hornets.
Rhodes, a sophomore from Leesburg, Virginia. We'll have another one coming. Williams back on along with Wendell Moore for Coach K. And also Jimmy Boeheim returning for his dad. 76-57. Jimmy Boeheim has yet to score.
Yeah, coming off a 27-point effort against Notre Dame last time out. And he's had actually the last 2 games back-to-back 15-point first halves. And so interesting to see that Jimmy hasn't been able to get going. But, you know, it's really not that surprising when you consider that Duke defensively has always found a way to take someone out and make someone else beat them. And it was Buddy Boeheim in the first game. And, of course, tonight has been Jimmy's turn.
Well, folks who know the boys will tell you that Jimmy is a lot like his father, very cerebral. And Buddy is a lot like Julie Boeheim, very lighthearted. Always with a smile on his face. Maybe not at this very moment. 8:25 to go in the Dome. (77-57). Duke and Syracuse, ESPN Road to Champ Week. Now, Duke is not going to lose just Coach K. Do you think there's a possibility, a real chance that tonight's starting lineup, nobody comes back next year?
I believe there's a strong possibility that the starting lineup from Duke includes Wendell Moore Jr., Trevor Keels, A.J. Griffin, Paolo Banchero, and Mark Williams will all be first-round picks in the 2022 draft, which will tie them with the 2010 Kentucky team with 5 first-round picks for the most all-time. And I believe that will be the case for this group moving forward. John Shire, of course, with a great recruiting class coming in, and I believe that they're expecting for all 5 of those guys to be in the draft this June.
That one never got to the iron. It's tipped out of bounds with 1 second to go on the shot clock. And if you believe any of that might be hyperbole, check the tape of this game from the first 10 minutes.
Well, again, when you talk about getting off to a great start, I mean, the front line was spectacular enough, but then when you think about what both Keels and Moore do defensively as A.J. Griffin lines up another one and Mark Williams continues to dominate the glass. But, you know, it's a star-studded lineup, but more importantly, it's a very young lineup. You know, Wendell Moore Jr. is a junior by classification, but he came to college at 17. He didn't turn 18 years old until he was already into college. So you're thinking about a guy that's younger than most sophomores in college basketball right now.
By the way, Duke just owning the glass, 31-17 over Syracuse. Banchero, everything's been going through him today. No whistle there. 20-point lead. Boeheim right now has been the man and the only man really for long stretches today, and another rebound for Williams.
Yeah, and speaking of man, that was a man rebound by Mark Williams right there, going to get the ball at its highest point, and then of course chinning it to make sure no one reached in to take it away.
He has a double-double, 21 and 11. Banchero at 21. And Griffin has 17. Williams out of the double. Banchero wanted it right by him to Griffin. Griffin's triple. Got it. He continues to sizzle.
And the freshman record for threes made in a game is 7 by Cam Reddish. And I believe that's 6 right now for A.J. Griffin.
It is. Season high for him. Roach with the foul, 82-59. And if you missed the first half, Duke had a lead as high as 30.
You see A.J. Griffin recognizing Gerard trying to run him off the line, but the pump fake and still getting his feet together to knock down his 6 3-pointer on the evening. And Griffin has really come on as a player as of late.
Gerard for 2. He's really one of the great shooters in the country.
He is that, and to start the season, he honestly was a little robotic. Didn't seem sure of himself, but he was coming off of injury and hadn't played much basketball really in the past 2 years. But you've seen him just grow by leaps and bounds as this season's gone along. So much so that Coach K had to insert him into the starting lineup. Bringing him off the bench at that point was no longer an option.
Another touch for Williams. Rhodes to the paint. Here's Griffin again open. Rare miss for him. Williams another big board and 2 more points. Well, he's been that guy all day.
He really has, and he was that guy against Virginia. Showed up big on Wednesday, both offensively and defensively, and you see Mark Williams just, and when you have a guy like that in the paint, it makes it so much easier for the guys on the perimeter to defend, as well as to know we just got to get a shot on the glass because Mark will go get it for us and clean up our mess.
So Duke has been comfortable from Jump Street today. Ran out to a 14-0 lead. And, you know, in stages it looked a lot like the game at Cameron Indoor. Here's Banchero off the back of the iron. Mark Williams' next point will be a new career high. He has had a special day in the Dome. And those 8,000 students, over 8,300 in fact, that's a record. Here inside the Dome, have not been able to make the noise they wanted to. Gerard, yes, he'll hit a 3.
The ACC's leading 3-point field goal percentage leader. And Gerard shot the basketball well, 18 points for him. He's had a good offensive night. The problem for Syracuse, they just haven't found a way to stop Duke.
And that man.
They still can't find a way. And again, Mark Williams is the benefactor. 25 points for him, a career high. But look at the pass. You consider you've got a 6'10" freight train coming down, dropping it off with his left hand, wrapping it around a defender on a dime. And as we go back and revisit why I believe Paolo Banchero is the #1 pick in the draft, that is a great example why. When you look at the other 2 guys in consideration, Chet Holmgren and Jabari Smith, they don't make that play. Again, they can score, they can shoot, they can do a lot of things that Paolo can do, but they can't do that.
He has 8 assists. Williams on the finishing end of a bunch of those, and he has a 3-point play, and he has a new career high with 26 points. That is a day's work for the 7-footer from Virginia Beach, Virginia. So 87-64. Duke closing in on win number 25. They've got a road game coming up at Pittsburgh on Tuesday on the ACC network.
You and I will be there. I'm along for the Coach K farewell tour. I went to watch the game as a fan against Virginia. We're doing this game tonight. We'll be doing the game at Pittsburgh. I won't be at Cameron for the last game. I'll have to watch that one on TV.
Have to.
Absolutely. I'll be tuned in.
It'll effectively be a full day. And the last time he may ever face North Carolina certainly will be the case at Cameron Indoor. Williams at the line. Freshman makes only 53% there, but drops in that one. And coming up on Monday, the tournament. A history of the ACC men's basketball continuing on ACC Network. Episode 7 highlighting 1984 to 89. That's at 9 Eastern. Followed, oddly enough, by episode 8 that breaks down 1990 through 1997. You can also watch past episodes on the ESPN app.
So disclaimer before I make this statement. I'm watching episode 7. Okay. Disclaimer. Best ACC tournament of all time, Randolph-Childress. We all know it. I'm not watching episode 8 because I'm not trying to hear about Randolph-Childress in this ACC tournament.
Williams with another stop.
If I did not have a cast on my ankle, it would have never happened. And as I say that, I need people to know the background. Randolph and I were high school teammates. We grew up together. We lived together. And I say this to him normally every day in a group message. So therefore, it's not hating, it's reality.
89-66 with 3.5 to go. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. It's the one when you gotta get stuff done. And in part by the Sonic Patty Melt for limited time only at Sonic.
In a game that has featured elite three-point shooting by the Blue Devils, the star of stars has gotten his job done in the paint. Mark Williams, 28 points, 11 of 14 from the field, 12 rebounds, 6 for 7 from the free throw line, and has just been average with 3 block shots, which of course he averages on a nightly basis, leading the ACC. But when you look at what Mark Williams has done, his presence in the back of that zone forced Syracuse to decide whether they're going to give up the 3 or they're going to give up the lob at the rim. And unfortunately for the Orange, they didn't pick right the entire night.
Thus the score, 89-66. And under 3.5 and tipped away by Moore, so Syracuse will retain. Duke averaging about 80 points a game. Girard lets fly and too strong. So a crowd of nearly 32,000 spent a lot of time on their hands in this one because Duke was just sensational right out of the gate.
And there was a number of runs. Syracuse put up a couple of runs as Roach knocks down another 3. But every time there was a run from the Orange, it seemed as though Duke came back and matched it. And for the second time, 14 three-point field goals made for the Blue Devils against the Orange.
14, and again, the school record is 17.
Now, you mentioned
on the road.
You mentioned that Mickey Krzyzewski was here. I think it's time for us to see my guy Michael Savarino. I think it's time to get Mike in the game right now.
Moore off the iron, but a whistle underneath. 2:22 to go. Coming up next on ESPN, number 10 Baylor hosting number 5 Kansas. And then we cap off our 6-pack of games with an outstanding game tonight. Number 1 Gonzaga and number 23 St. Mary's. That's a really fine rivalry. Always a good game.
And if that game is at St. Mary's, be on upset alert. St. Mary's is really good. They have a great bench, and they defend. I had them earlier this year, the Maui Invitational in Las Vegas. They beat Notre Dame during that, and they lost in the championship of that tournament. But when you're talking about, and lost to a Wisconsin team, which right now is number 1 in the Big Ten, in a very close game. St. Mary's is good, and on their home court, I believe they got a chance against the Bulldogs.
By the way, I saw that Michigan State knocked off Purdue, and a win for Tom Izzo, so he has tied Bob Knight on the Big Ten list for victory. So congratulations to Coach Izzo.
How about Bob Knight's coaching tree, though?
Not too shabby. Speaking of which, yeah. Right here on the sideline. Buddy Boeheim around and out. Here's Girard open for a triple. He'll crash the glass, and it'll stay on this end.
And for those who are not aware, Mike Krzyzewski played for Bobby Knight at West Point. So, of course, Coach K has a great coaching tree when you consider the coaches that have come from under his regime. But Bobby Knight may have the best coaching tree of all time.
On the drive, Williams, no basket, but he drew the foul before that. And now Coach K is going to be emptying his bench, as you suggested.
There's my guy, Michael Savarino, getting an opportunity to come in and play. And again, when you mention the times that Coach Boeheim and Coach K spent together coaching the Olympics, and Buddy Boeheim mentions going out and playing with Coach K's grandkids, that would be Michael Savarino. So the fact that these two guys get an opportunity to get on the court together, get an opportunity to see if they have a moment. But now it looks like Buddy's going to be heading out.
Buddy stepping aside. did all he could certainly in this one. And for a lot of this game, he was a one-man band. Williams at the line. Also Keenan Worthington into the game for Coach K.
Yeah, Buddy didn't get a lot of help from his starters, but I tell you, Benny Williams, I believe this has been his best game in a Syracuse uniform, and I think he may have gained a little more trust from Coach Boeheim throughout this one, maybe earning more minutes moving forward.
We shall see. Meanwhile, Baylor and Kansas is underway on ESPN News. We will be taking it to Waco with Dan Shulman and Jay Billis as soon as we finish up here in the Dome. Worthington will swing it out high. Coach K going to his bench, and those guys are getting an opportunity to contribute a little bit. Jalen Blake's there with a basket.
And Duke loves Blake. They think he's going to be really good for them moving forward. And we mentioned how many guys that most likely lose this year. Blake's could play a big role for them next season.
Well, a chunk of the crowd obviously has long since gone home here. Casey cannot hit from in close, and Worthington there with the rebound, but some are hanging in to watch the walk-ons getting an opportunity. But Duke closing in on 100 points. And a tremendous effort right away for the Duke Blue Devils. They just could not miss as they hit, what, 7 out of the first 8 triples.
Yeah, they set the tone early in this game, and not only the threes, but also the lobs for Mark Williams at the rim. And right now, Coach K telling his grandson, you better not shoot this basketball. Run the clock out.
Well, these two great friends and colleagues, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, getting together here on Jim Boeheim Court. And it was all Duke today. The number 7 team in the country rolled to a 97-72 win. For Corey Alexander and our entire crew, I'm Dave O'Brien, thanking you so much for joining us here today. Once again, the final 97-72. Duke with the win as we send you out to Waco. A great game coming your way. Number 5 Kansas taking on number 10 Baylor. Dan, Jay, and Holly. Guys, it's all yours.